Hello everyone and welcome to the Commando cast. I'm Andrew, it's just me today, and in this episode I want to take a value-based look at the new plot, Allies of Necessity, from the upcoming draft kit. So the Allies of Necessity draft kit was announced and partially spoiled a few weeks back, and out of that came a few very interesting cards. One of those cards that has gotten perhaps the most amount of discussion, positive and negative, has been the gray neutral plot, Allies of Necessity. So Allies of Necessity is a gray plot, neutral -2, include only if 2 or more characters on your team share a color. After setup, discard a card from your hand and lose 2 resources. So a valid argument against the usefulness of this card are of course the drawbacks. The -1 card certainly hurts. Just on the surface it costs us 1 value, if we remember from the value episode. Furthermore, cards in the opening hand are arguably the most valuable cards that we see all game, as we're able to mulligan, right? You draw 5, you mulligan, you draw 5 more. But on the flip side, the AON, or the Allies of Necessity impact, comes after setup, meaning you get to choose the card that you discard. Right? It's not that you're drawing 4, mulliganing, and drawing 4. That would be huge. The impact here can thus be minimized because you get to choose. It doesn't mean it's not significant, but you can minimize it by choosing which card you discard. Okay, the obvious larger drawback to this plot, though, is of course the loss of your two opening resources. This potentially kills your early game ramp, and perhaps even worse, can allow your opponent to play unchecked, either do a whole bunch of damage, or even worse, get their own damn ramp engine moving. Now, to put this in perspective, I'd like to take a minute and look at another very popular plot that's seen a ton of play through this last meta, which is Armored Reinforcement. So Armored Reinforcement is a red neutral plot, costs 3. Actions: set this plot aside to search your deck or discard pile for a vehicle support and play it, decreasing its cost by 1. And then if you search your deck, shuffle it. So we will be referring to the searching of your deck as a tutor for the remainder of this episode. So let's take a look at the value of Armored Reinforcement. For 3 build points, you get a tutor and 1 effective resource if you're running red. So right out of the gate, this allows you to search and find a 3-drop vehicle and put it into play. 3 build points, 2 actual resources, and an action for an extra die to start. Furthermore, there are decks that want bigger ships like Shadowcaster. Han Biggs wants the Legacy's Falcon, which is a 4-drop, or the Fire Spray, which is a fantastic 4-drop. But to do that, you have to commit another resource. Now, again, from value episode, we know that 1 resource is a value of 1. Could be a card from your hand, could be a die on the table, but you have to make that resource somewhere. So with all that said, let's revisit the value of Armored Reinforcement. At a minimum, you're spending your turn's resources and 3 build points for that extra die. So now, using that, let's functionally compare the 2 plots. Armored Reinforcement sees a ton of play, which means that the community overall sees great value in spending your turn's resources to gain that extra starting die. Allies of Necessity gives you 2 extra build points in exchange for your 2 resources and a card. So here's the bring it together statement. For the same cost as Armored Reinforcement, Allies of Necessity functionally gets you 5 build points towards an extra character, or 2 from your normal total. And you know what? That die can't get vandalized or sabotaged. So I think that many are considering using Allies of Necessity as a method of getting bigger dice on the table and or pairing broken character abilities like Vader TTB, Terror to Behold, and Mother Talzin. However, I think that this is probably the wrong way to be thinking about this plot from an advantage standpoint. What if instead we put our heads back into the 5 die space that Armored Reinforcement gives us? We've seen many 5 die starts in the past throughout this entire game, but in this case, we can potentially have a strong 5 die start, right? No more little minion, Mother Talzin, and someone else who dies really fast, right? Think about it, 2 9-12s and an 8, or a 10-13, an 8-11, and a 7, or an 8, right? 14, 11, and 7. The possibilities are endless, the possibilities are strong. Let's not even get into potential 6 die teams if we're looking at blue. Just to explore some of those pairings just off the top of my head, right? Think about the new Ahsoka, right? The new Ahsoka looks fantastic for running some sort of blue 5 die here, and it doesn't have to be completely blue, only 2 of your characters have to be the same. And I do want to say I think that was a nice design on this card, requiring 2 of the characters to be the same color, because that prevents rainbow decks, which we've seen rainbow just destroy the meta throughout pretty much the entire history of this game. So by requiring that, it does kind of hamper the power level of that 3-wide rainbow down, right? So can you imagine starting a 5 die rainbow? Seems pretty good, right? So many people are completely writing off allies of necessity simply because they don't believe the 2 resources to be worth it. They believe that hit to be so crippling. And don't get me wrong, I understand that argument. But what I don't understand is, at the same time, many in the community are arguing for a nerf on armored reinforcement, saying it's overpowered. And functionally, that doesn't make sense to me. Because, I mean, think about it. They're doing the same thing. Armored reinforcement, you're giving away your 2 turns resources to gain that die. So from a allies of necessity standpoint, it's really just the same thing. So to say one is good and the other's not is counterintuitive to me. So overall, please don't read more into this than it is. I honestly don't know if allies of necessity is good or not yet, and I certainly haven't figured out a broken combo. But all I'm saying is that it's quite in line with the current value curve, and as such shouldn't be dismissed just as binder trash. So that's my 2 cents. I am very curious to know what you guys think, so please let me know in the comments below. Is allies of necessity going to stay in the binder, or is it going to facilitate a broken combo somewhere down the line? If you like what we're doing on the channel, give us a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, go Commando.